You go for it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. We are NerdTube. This is the greatest channel that you've never heard of, but you're starting to hear of it. We thank you guys once again for 1,000 plus subscribers. I am your host with the most, DOZ 101, and with me as always is off the top rope, Zam. Zam, how are you?
Oh, I'm fucking great, man. Fucking can't wait to talk about TNA. What was going to be the love of my life ended up being my mortal fucking enemy. TNA. I can't wait to fucking talk about this.
As you
TNA,
guys,
you have failed me. You have failed me, TNA. Anyway, go on. Sorry for interrupting. I apologize.
As you guys can see by the title, this is the rise and fall of TNA wrestling. And for those of y'all that know me, DOZ 101, those of y'all that go way back to the Wrestling Revolution days, hello Block, hello Cheeto, and others, you guys know that I used to be the king of destroying TNA on the regular. Every single week, I would take massive shits on Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Dixie Carter, and all those running this fucking company. But we're also going to talk about some of the good that happened as well as the bad. And let's go ahead and get into it. Before we even get into TNA, we have to go back to 2001, which could be considered one of the darkest years in the history of the business. Vince McMahon buys up the WCW and ECW library, meaning that he practically owns wrestling and it's a monopoly. So for 2001, for most of it, we are without a wrestling company until Jeff and Jerry Jarrett go on a fishing trip in 2002 and form Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And their first show was June 19th of 2002. And I think, they were having technical difficulties, but they went out there and gave it the best they had. And we got guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Black Machismo Jay Lethal, CM Punk, Raven, Jeff Jarrett, Abyss, Monty Brown. So many great names came out of that organization. But Zam, what did you think about the rise of TNA? What did you think about TNA when it first was coming up in the world?
I'll be honest with you. I never caught the early days of TNA, and when it was NWA TNA, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it was running on a little bit, wasn't it? Like it was on the National Wrestling Association. It was running on their coattails to a degree. But it was just what I did see. Some of the footage I saw when it came to researching, so I could regarding this debate. Like they were just a small independent wrestling company, like so many before them, until Vince bought them all fucking out. And it was just good to see guys who, when it comes to these smaller companies, coming off the ground, you could tell that the wrestlers and the people involved, that they feel that they're part of something and they want to make it something. And even before the Six Sides, you could see that there was something there. Like all these guys weren't like muscle-bound behemoths. You had your one or two here or there, but they were athletes. They were proper wrestlers. People who knew the craft inside and out, and were giving alternative matches to what you would see in the WWE. And it was just that alone which kind of garnered its reputation. Even before the Six Sides, like people were interested in an alternative. They were desperate for a fucking alternative. WCW was gone, and we needed something new. And there was a void. With WWE owning everything and being the only wrestling company around, there was definitely a place for a challenger. Not necessarily a challenger, and that was the problem with TNA in the first place. Like they always were desperate to be number one when they should have just been happy being number two.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was definitely a place for another wrestling company, and that's why TNA, even today, they're still around. Impact Wrestling is still around today. As shit as the views are, there was a place for them, and I'm very, I was very happy to see that occur. What did you see in the early days of TNA?
Let's see. For me, we might be jumping ahead, but for me, the rise of TNA came. I don't know if you'll agree, but the two biggest signings that company ever had, Christian Cage and Kurt Angle, were two of the best signings that company ever fucking had. I think
you're jumping a bit ahead, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but for me, like here in the States, you had to have Fox Sports in order to get TNA because they were on a channel that not everybody got. But in the early days of TNA, the Asylum years, I highly suggest you guys go back and watch AJ Styles. He was the face of that company for the first couple years that they were coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Granted,
Without doubt.
Granted, Jeff Jarrett was hogging the main event scene, but, then again, it's Jeff Jarrett. And you also had guys like Kevin Nash, you had Scott Hall, you had Ken Shamrock, you had Ron the Truth Killings. Brian Christopher even wrestled for TNA at a time back in the day. But in the early days of TNA, I didn't get to see much in the Asylum years, but for me, it was more about the Spike TV years, which we'll get to here shortly. But I really enjoyed what footage I saw out of it, seeing AJ Styles do stuff like tornado DDTs off the ropes, literally, and then doing, planches and all that crazy type of shit. You would see Chris Daniels
Pele
doing
kicks, yeah.
Yeah, Pele kicks. You would see Chris Daniels doing moonsaults. And then, the six-sided ring, which was so fucking innovative. I know that the old-time wrestlers hate the six-sided ring, but it gave the wrestlers a chance to create art on that canvas, which was so cool. Man, I miss those days.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was just watching. I just happened to be watching TNA just for the sake of it. Never really took it that seriously. And then I saw P. Williams do a fucking Canadian Destroyer, and I thought, you know what? I'm in. You got me now. I'm part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the six-sided ring comes into play, and I'm thinking, wow, the innovation they were able to create from all of that, and they were just like, even though you had your Matt Morgans and you had your big time guys, most of the guys weren't behemoths as well. They were just like regular guys who just had good physiques.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the tag team scene, the Motor City Machine Guns. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get enough of TNA. I knew that every time I'd watch TNA, I'd be watching quality, people who really gave a damn about the product. And, it had some elements of WCW with the fact that it gave, smaller wrestlers, cruiserweight types, were way more involved. But it was just a nice mix ensemble of different types of wrestlers, which I really appreciated about TNA. It felt like this is what WCW should have been, when TNA was going at its pomp. And I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was. Regardless of before Kurt Angle, just some of the homegrown talent they had, even though they had a little mixture of the ex-WWE guys, they had the right mix of their own guys as well who were making a name for themselves, like AJ Styles, like Christopher Daniels, like the Motor City Machine Guns, like Abyss, who was like a cross between Kane and Mankind. Yeah. All of these guys, and he was so good as well. Like this big man, like he, like the death match wrestling, he did that, and a lot of his matches were just excellent. It was just absolutely excellent. And I forgot the name of the wrestler, the actual real name of the wrestler who plays him, but he's got character to him.
Chris Parks.
Chris Parks. I knew his name was Chris because I remember a promo by Sting. And talking about Sting, you get legends like that in
That's
there.
another one too, yeah.
Yeah, just to add to the clout,
Yep. Okay, yeah. So we're jumping ahead here, but like we said, we were going to call this one in the ring. But yeah, going forward, the Spike deal, 2005. 2005. Here's how that came about. Vince was looking to get off of TNN at the time, which later became Spike TV, and go back to the USA Network. And the guys over at Spike said, let's get TNA. And that's what they did. In 2005, we lost Eddie Guerrero, which will be tomorrow is his anniversary, I believe. Yes, it is. Wow. November 13th is his anniversary.
16 years now, isn't it?
Yep.
2005 he died.
Mm-hmm. And
years, I believe.
This could be argued as one of, if not the greatest signings ever. Christian Cage debuted in TNA tomorrow during that time, joining Team Canada, or he acted like he was going to join Team Canada, but remained a babyface, and went into a feud with Jeff Jarrett over the NWA World Title. And man, Christian is one of those dudes that I honestly think does not get the credit he deserves. He really doesn't. Christian is one of those dudes that could really fucking work.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He was always in Edge's shadow to a degree, and just people looked at him as a poor man's Edge wherever he went, even though he ticked all the fucking boxes, you know. And yeah, it's a shame he never got his due. I think if he had a more prominent career in the WWE, you know, not some shitty world heavyweight champion for a week or a month, but you know, WWE champion, I think he might have had his dues for sure.
Had they would have capitalized on him in 2005 before he left, and then he went to TNA, holy shit! But man, you know, okay.
Well, it's Vince McMahon again, isn't it? Like, sorry to interrupt. It's Vince McMahon again, because it doesn't matter how many fans like you. If Vince McMahon doesn't fucking like you, shit ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, you're not gonna get over. You're gonna get over if I want you to get over. That's the mentality, and it still goes on today. But you know, getting back on topic with TNA 2005, and then Sting comes in 2006, and that was a moment where it was like, holy shit. Even though he had already debuted in TNA years before that, not everybody saw Sting show up in TNA. But he shows up in 2006, and they did this bullshit with him where it's like, this is going to be my last run. This is something that I fucking hate that they do in wrestling, is when they say, this will be my final hurrah. It's like the Rolling Stones. How many times have we heard that the Rolling Stones are retiring? They're still on their fucking farewell tour. And this is like 30 years later. It's like that with Sting now.
Always a paycheck available, man. They'll fucking come out of retirement.
But what did you think about Christian and Sting showing up in TNA in 2006?
I just felt, I almost like, it's almost weird. Like, you got TNA. I mean, you got WCW. He was in that. He still hasn't been a part of the WWE yet, and he was renowned as the biggest name in wrestling to never wrestle for them. So it almost made sense that he would end up on TNA. You know, I mean, it really did. Like, where else is he gonna fucking go? You know, the indie scene, that would be a waste of his talents. You know, a waste of his charisma and his star power. Put him on TNA, and then with him there and Angle there and Kevin Nash there and Booker T there as well. Like, for me, my favorite ever faction in wrestling started to emerge. It was just a genius faction, and I loved it so much. The Main Event Mafia.
I'm about to pop too, because you want to know my favorite thing of all time in TNA. My favorite moment of all time in that company. You remember when Kevin Nash and Booker T took over the announce table and they commentated during TNA? That was some of the funniest shit that I ever heard in my entire life. We need to find Chet living in Black Snow, baby. Oh. And then Booker T.
The time of their lives, man.
Yep. And then Booker T with the fucking African king gimmick. Like, he would all be like, in my country, we are going to be revered as kings and all that kind of shit. And then, like, whenever somebody would correct him, he would go all like speak Ebonics and shit and go all gangster. And I was like, man. And then Scott Steiner. And then Scott Steiner, being the world's greatest ring announcer, just being like, the following contest is between two of these nastiest bitches, ODB and Christy Hemme and blah, 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 blah. And, man, and then you had Kurt Angle just be the fucking workhorse of that company. Out of all the guys in the Main Event Mafia, Kurt Angle, he was their guy. Like, Kurt Angle, he was their workhorse. He and AJ Styles could be argued as the faces of that company during that time.
It was such a genius faction as well. Like, you've had factions in the past. You've had, stables, past and future of this particular organization. But for me, nothing tops it. You had the NWO and all of that, but it ended up just being there was no direction with the NWO. Like, it was like nearly everyone fucking joined it.
Even my mother and I were in the NWO. Your family and you were in the NWO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then next thing they're branching off with the Wolf Pack and shit like that. It just, I got fed up of it. Yeah. But this felt like, okay, you have to be top tier to be part of this crew. And everyone who was in that group, maybe apart from God, what was his name? He was in it for one time only. Billy Gunn.
Oh, okay.
Remember, Billy Gunn was in it just very briefly because some of the top tier guys had injuries because they were all none of those guys were spring chickens.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so they were getting injured a lot, and then they needed to fill the void, so they got in Billy Gunn.
Yep.
And but yeah, I don't blame them for that. They did what they had to do, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. It felt more real than anything, and they were a heel stable, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. But they worked. They worked.
But they were a heel stable, but you had respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And seeing Sting not doing that makeup shit all the time, yeah, I really appreciated that too. Like just him wearing the glasses.
And what was cool, and not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but what was cool, you notice whenever they attacked someone, Sting never did shit. Like, he just sat there like the Godfather, like, hey, y'all do this. Like, I'm not doing shit. Y'all do this. And, like, Sting was the world champion, I think, at the time, and he just played that Godfather role just so perfectly.
He was the leader, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was the leader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's funny, but even though they're all main eventers, you still had your leaders, you still had your like enforcers. I would probably put Kevin Nash as that.
Yeah.
And all of that, and your captains or your soldiers who would probably be like people like Booker T and Scott Steiner,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. And then you had people like who they're going up against, like AJ Styles,
mm-hmm.
who theoretically should belong in that group, but he wasn't, because he never had like a career in the WWE, for example, or he wasn't a massive guy in WCW like Sting was, so he wasn't really part of that group.
And then I can remember the time that they jumped Christian, and because they knew Christian was going back to WWE to that fucking reject WWE ECW brand that had potential, but it didn't really work. But
they knew it was bullshit. At the moment we saw, what was it, Frankenstein, the first episode? Oh, I knew it was over.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew it was over their first episode in, but yeah, there's other moments I could remember. The greatest match in TNA history that I suggest everybody go back and watch: Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels versus AJ Styles at Unbreakable 2005. Arguably the greatest three-way dance you will ever see in your entire life, and could be considered the greatest match. Yeah, it's been years since I've watched it, but it's one of those matches. And this is when, delving off, this is when Samoa Joe, speaking of guys that could have and should have been one of the faces of the company, Samoa Joe was unbeaten up until Kurt Angle got there, and then they gave us Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe right away, and they had Kurt Angle beat Samoa Joe right out of the gate. Do you think they should have saved that, or do you think they should have, just kept doing what they were doing with it?
It's hard to say. Honestly, my memories of it is very it's very distant now. It's really hard to think of it from that particular perspective. How long did their feud go on for? How many matches? Did Joe get one back on him?
I think Angle handed Joe his first loss, like I think a couple months in.
Was Joe on an unbeaten streak?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like on a long ass unbeaten streak, and everyone going, "Joe is gonna kill you. Joe is gonna kill you."
And he lost to Kurt Angle. I think maybe Slammiversary 2007 could have been the time that you could have had Angle beat Joe. I don't know. I don't know if that's too long a stretch.
Well, someone's got to eventually beat. I mean, the funny thing is, I don't think someone like Angle needed that level of victory.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Angle's a top tier guy. Like, it's really hard to call, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joe was always going to get his respects and his dues regardless. But for me, just talking about Kurt Angle, like, they had big time wrestlers coming in there, like Kevin Nash, and Christian Cage, and R-Truth, Ron Killings at the time, and several other guys who were in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But when they did sign Kurt Angle, that was a big fucking deal.
You could argue the greatest signing ever. I think so. I think from a workhorse perspective,
for TNA for sure.
Yeah, from a workhorse perspective, TNA signing Angle was a holy shit moment in 2006, because originally Vince wanted Angle to stay on the road to put over John Cena, and Kurt was like, "Dude, I'm hurt. I need to go rest. I need to go chill. And all the while, he was watching TNA that entire time. And it was like, holy shit. But now we're going to start kind of delving off a little bit into the negatives. I think one of the biggest mistakes that TNA made was not going on the road sooner than they did.
I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes they made is Dixie Carter.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Dixie Carter and Vince Russo. Let's go ahead and go there.
Like, Dixie Carter's idea of like, this is the thing, like, you got to sometimes be happy where you are, you know, you got to be happy how you are as a company. And for them to try, and they were so desperate to beat the WWE. It was ridiculous. And next thing you know, Vince Russo is obviously part of the crew because he's an experienced guy. But that sometimes harkening back to the past and getting people like that is not giving your company a future. He was one of the reasons why WCW was ruined. With his stupid writing and stuff. I remember that when he was like in the Figure 4 Forever by Ric Flair, and they're waiting for that fucking blood to drop on him in WCW. Oh god, this is like Vince Russo in a nutshell, man. He's like the Rob Black of big time wrestling. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think of some angles that he did. Okay, the one that I remember in TNA that he did, it was when I think SoCal Val and Jay Lethal were going to get married, and then they had Sanjay Dutt ruin the wedding or whatever the fuck, and it was like they did this stupid fucking thing where it's like, we have to meet at this place called the Pink Taco and we're going to fight. And it's like, the story should have just been, you ruined my wedding, I'm going to hurt you. That's it. But instead they made it like, we have to fight at this place called the Pink Taco. And the Pink Taco just sounds like the most hilarious fucking name ever. And then Vince Russo, he and Jim Cornette did not get along backstage. This was the time that Cornette was there as the on-screen manager. That was another problem TNA had, was all these authority figures. It was Jim Cornette, then it was Mick Foley, then it was blah, 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 blah. All these other motherfuckers. Russo turning guys face and heel for no reason. Like he did in WWE and WCW. Russo just not making sense of anything.
I really tried to be positive when I heard that Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan was coming in.
Oh, we're going to go there? Let's go there.
And I really wanted to be seriously positive. I think, okay, they're going to get some stalwarts, who know wrestling inside and out. Star power with Hulk Hogan as well. This could be good. But then Hogan brought in all his mates. When you see the Nasty Boys coming in, it's like, oh my god! I've
got something that precedes all that. Okay, remember that clip I sent you with Dixie Carter when she dressed down her employees and was like, "You cannot question me. You can't question what the fuck I'm doing." That was the beginning of the end, because it was like, you don't say that to your employees. You don't go, if you question things in this company, you're questioning me, and I can't allow that to happen. Who says that? Like, why would you? Why would you say that? Yeah, but why would you say that? Why would you dress down your employees?
Well, it was like blurring the lines between kayfabe and reality. Like you didn't know what was real and what wasn't. What was scripted and what wasn't when you saw that. It's kind of good and bad in that particular sense. But she kind of tried to be like, I think, and I'm not defending Dixie here, but I think she kind of realized that she was a woman in a man's world and she wanted to be taken seriously. But she had no fucking, look, I have no problem with women in this industry. I would rather see someone like Lita in fucking Dixie Carter's position. At least she fucking got spunk and she knows what the fuck she's doing and she's been in the ring. That's the block, by the way, is TNA on cable. Like, I don't think anyone carries that channel.
No, that's going to be part of the downfall that we're getting to, man. We're getting there. We're getting there.
At one point, it was on a fucking hunting channel, but
yes, it was.
Yeah. But like, she was not the right person to do it, and she had grand ambitions, but she didn't realize that something like TNA would. It was baby steps with TNA. It might take 30 years even. yeah, to eventually be on the fucking same sort of level as WWE.
For a
But
company,
it's getting there.
yeah, for a company that's, let's see, okay, Hogan coming in the door was 2009. Yeah, 2009, early 2010 was when they announced they signed Hulk Hogan. And then Dixie makes that speech devaluing your employees, basically saying you guys need to step it up. And if you go back and look at that speech and look at AJ Styles' face when he's like this, that's how you know this company is fucked. When you have your face of the company going like fuck this shit, that's how you know morale's at an all-time low. Basically, with Dixie doing that, that's like, okay, don't question why Hogan and Bischoff are coming in the door. Don't say anything negative about Hogan or Bischoff. Don't question my decisions. Shit like that is what you don't do. And with Dixie, yeah, I agree. I mean, she could have been content with just being number two. You know, you have to take baby steps. For a company that was only like 6, 7 years old at the time, you're not going to be able to compete with Vince McMahon. It's just not possible.
Exactly, and they had such a loyal following as well, which I was a part of because I really appreciated, what I saw. I gave a fuck about what was going on in the ring.
Mm-hmm. I didn't care about backstage. I didn't care about behind the scenes.
The ring, the ring, like the wrestling was so good,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you could see the bits and pieces of Eric Bischoff and Hogan's.
And here influence. They come. Yep, let's go.
Like for instance,
let's go.
One of the things I couldn't stand was how Bischoff made that ramp in line with the ring. You know what I'm on about? He had that in WCW. So like when the wrestlers are walking into the ring, they're actually walking on something which is in line with the ring itself, with the ring. You know what I'm on about? The ramp and stuff. And he brought that from WCW into WWE, and that was a terrible move because now the fans are down here and the wrestlers are at ankle level to the fucking fans. You're not interacting with them. The faces can't like slap their hands and shit like that before going into the ring and stuff like that. None of that. All the fucking all these has-beens Hulk Hogan had brought with him.
Let's go. Yeah,
useless fuckers were burying the original TNA talent.
Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, January 4th, 2010. Let's start with Hogan's fucking entrance into the company, shall we? All right, so Hogan circles around a motorcade. It could have taken him 2 minutes to get there. It took him 20 minutes. And then when he gets in the ring, he says, I've been in the back all day talking to the guys. No, you haven't. We just saw you get out of a limousine. How the fuck do you fuck up your writing day one? How do you do that?
Compulsive liar as well. Remember that.
Yeah. But even so, how the fuck do you fuck up the writing? How do you like circle around the soundstage for like 20 minutes? And then it's like, I've been in the back all day talking to the guys. No, you haven't. And then here comes Nash and fucking Waltman and Scott Hall like, hey, yo, we're getting the band back together. And Hogan goes, oh, no, brother, it's a different time now. I'm here for the fans, even though he was all dressed in NWO gear.
Here for the fans. Maybe you want to roll my fucking eyes above my head.
And then, and then Bubba the Love Sponge, they did shit where like beer money was all laid out. These other guys were all laid out. And he's all squatting over him like he took a shit on him. And he's like, these guys have been beaten up and I know who did it. Not that I'm going to do anything about it. And then you had Mick Foley, who couldn't even get into the fucking building. And then he got beaten up by the NWO. And then Hogan, they ended the show with it like, whose side is Hogan on? Who gives a shit? And then here comes the guy that just can't give the fuck up, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. You want to talk about fucking up a retirement match? A match that could have meant something? Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels, and you were there for that.
Yeah, I was there for that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in America. I was in America to watch that, and it was the best match of the fucking card,
Easily, yeah.
And seeing like Ric Flair being able to pull it out just one more time, because he was way past his fucking prime then.
Mm-hmm.
But he was able to give one great match, great story match and everything. But look, theoretically, like Shawn Michaels, he retired too, and he came back, in fucking Saudi Arabia. And wrestling is neither here nor there. But
retirement in wrestling is bullshit.
Yeah. Nevertheless, like bringing all, like Ric Flair is not the future. You know, even back then he wasn't the fucking Future, and to bring him back, it just all these guys. Like I said, seeing the Nasty Boys when you got the fucking Dudleys there, seeing the fucking Nasty Boys, it infuriated me. I was boiling with anger because it was just on. I could see between the lines. You can try and fucking mask it as much as you want. Hogan wasn't there for the fans; he was there for himself.
And you want to know what it was too? It was that Australia tour that predated Hogan coming in. Because didn't Hogan have like an Australia tour? And he had all his buddies. He had Flair, he had the Nasty Boys, and all these old motherfuckers. Like I think he had Greg Valentine on that tour too.
Jesus Christ. I like Valentine though, but yeah.
I could bet Hogan went to Dixie and was like, "Oh, come on, let them come in. They're my buddies," and that's why you saw them. It was because Hogan pulled that political control card, like, let Bischoff come in, let the Nasty Boys come in. Why were the Nasty Boys even there other than to collect a paycheck? They serve no purpose.
And no purpose at all. And then they demoralizing for the actual wrestlers.
And then here's what I don't understand. You have Hulk Hogan, a guy that should be used as the iconic figure, the dude that you see every now and again. He comes in and then they have him on TV every single week. Why? Why would you bring him in to have him on TV every week?
Yeah, like he was taking more screen time than the wrestlers.
Here, let me take this call, man. Go ahead and shit, never mind.
No problem. I mean, I want to just jump. I mean, like within a month of him being there, we then said goodbye to the thing that made me say goodbye to TNA and made me become more. I just couldn't, like once. With WWE, it is better the devil you know. You know what you're getting with WWE. Mm-hmm. But with TNA, I felt violated, with Hogan and Bischoff coming in there, and with them removing the six-sided ring, I was done. I think I gave it maybe a couple more weeks. You know what I mean? But with Hogan then calling it, like, this is what I'm saying. He says he's for the fans, and then he's calling the ring a pig pen. The six-sided ring, I want to, wrestle in a real wrestling ring, not in a pig pen, brother. And then I thought, fuck you, man. Fuck you. You've ruined everything, yeah? You, Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo, this is the downfall. And it's a fucking massive downfall because, like, you could start on the ground and then raise yourself up. Mm-hmm. And they did that. But when they went down, they went so down, they went underground, man. You know what I mean? They went beneath the fucking ground because they were worse than they became worse than when they actually started. Mm-hmm. And so I've never felt so upset about a wrestling company than that particular day because I knew it was over. I knew it was over. They were never going to have the magic of TNA was gone with that six-sided ring gone.
Yep.
And I wanted nothing to do with it after that. I was tweeting. Sorry for going on. I was tweeting Dixie Carter. I was tweeting her so fucking much. Bring it back. I can't believe what a fucking dickhead I was. I was a bit younger then.
I knew it was over. Yeah. I knew it was over. Yeah. When they had the 4-sided ring and Hogan was like, 6 sides. No, it's about 4 sides, brother. I'm going to give you fans what you want. And the mistake, how I knew it was over was when you had Hogan on TV every fucking week. He was on TV every single week. And then they turned him. And then they brought in his daughter, and then they turned Hogan heel and tried to recreate the NWO, and then they had Ric Flair try to recreate the Four Horsemen. I'm like, what kind of shit is this? When did we step back into 1997?
Yeah, totally. And like they were just recycling shit they've already done before. And prior to them being in there, the company was so fresh and new. Mm-hmm. That it felt organic. This felt like plastic surgery. You know what I mean? And I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, seeing Hogan there betraying the fans. I remember the fans going, "We want 6 sides." They were saying that. They were saying that. Like, what happened to the X matches? They were finished now. Like,
you took a shit on the. You took a shit, and then they had Taz on commentary be like, "We need to have weight limits in the X division." No, you fucking idiot! The X Division was about guys going out there busting their asses. They were the matches. They were the guys that would give you 5-star matches every single week. And then Taz was burying them on commentary talking about, yeah, there needs to be weight limits and blah, 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 blah. No, the X Division is about no limits. It's about guys that can go in there and bust their asses.
And instead of trying to be different to WWE, they tried to be WWE light.
Mm-hmm. They started copying them too. They were copying everything
promos galore, with no fucking wrestling, all this stupidity, bog standard wrestlers, bog standard matches.
Let's not forget when they said they were going to move to Monday nights permanently. That was hilarious.
God. The vanity, you know what I mean? To do that, like, what were they doing? Like, know your fucking role. This feels like an Eric Bischoff thing, because he was obviously at one point leading in the Monday Night Wars.
Yep.
With WCW, and he thought he could replicate that. But once again, like, you don't need to go up against the WWE. There is enough space at the table for another wrestling company, and you should have just been happy being number 2, and I just feel like, like 10 years later, if those fuckers never came in, what the hell is that noise?
I don't know.
Is that me?
Might be something on your end.
Is that my bird? It's my bird.
Oh, sorry. Okay. That's all good.
Sorry, I apologize. But like, if Hogan and Bischoff and Russo were gone, Dixie Carter just let Jeff Jarrett run the fucking company.
Oh yeah, okay, that's another one. The shit between Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle was also fucked up too. How
never know shit where you eat.
How they had Jeff Jarrett basically steal Kurt Angle's wife from him. I mean, that's pretty much what happened. And kids. And they fucking had them get married on the air, and Angle gave Karen away. I'm like, how the fuck can you be comfortable with this? Like, you had Kurt Angle go from being a dude that had 5-star matches. He was the top heavyweight in the company. He was a multi-time world champion, all that kind of shit, all the way to going to having matches with Jeff Jarrett over Karen Angle. And it meant nothing.
Yeah, we did mention the main event Mafia earlier, by the way. We did mention them earlier. But yeah, I have to say that made him very awkward. Like I remember when Hardy and Edge and Lita had their love triangle. Mm-hmm. At least you had the brand split, so they didn't have to fucking face each other and stuff. But there wasn't anything like that here in TNA, and it's very awkward. Like, Kurt Angle's your top guy, and your boss is just taking your fucking wife and kids away from you. Mm-hmm. Kurt Angle did have his issues, by the way. He had
Kurt Angle. We have to get into that shit too. Kurt Angle. I'm surprised he didn't die. If I'm being honest about it, I'm
bloated his neck is now. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised Kurt Angle did not die, and that he's still around, because he was on that crazy shit. He was on like Vicodin and all that kind of shit, and he had like big drug problems.
Do you put it down to like what a lot of other wrestlers go through, especially when the ones who are in the WWE? Like, they're on the road constantly. They get very little chance to heal up. No one really wants to take any time off because they're worried about losing their spot. Someone like Angle should never have to worry about losing his spot.
He's Kurt fucking Angle.
He made a name for himself, within a few years of being in the WWE. But nevertheless, because he's a top tier guy and he's always required, he's always needed. He never got a chance to heal properly, which made him probably take a lot of types of medication that he got addicted to. Mm-hmm. And that's just a common thing amongst wrestlers. Even Olympic athletes can fall foul to that as well. He's only human.
And that's another problem TNA had, was a lot of those guys, they were on drugs over there. A lot of them were on that shit. At least with WWE, as fucked up as their wellness policy is, at least they care, you could argue, to at least check on their guys every now and again, whereas TNA, I don't think they did that all that often.
You think?
Because they let Kurt Angle go and do what he did. Kurt Angle, he I remember there was a time when like Kurt Angle used to get arrested for DUIs all the time, and getting into this too. This is when I started kind of falling off of TNA. Was when the Hardys came into TNA, and Jeff Hardy. We have to talk about it.
Yeah, that famous match between him and Sting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
We have to talk about it.
The thing is, like Jeff Hardy couldn't get away with what he was doing in TNA in the WWE, but you can see him getting away with it in TNA. So much so that he was out of his fucking face. And then I remember that famous moment where Eric Bischoff comes in the ring and he's trying to improvise and all of that. And this is no moment between, say, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, which was very cleverly done. You know, in that particular squash, you can see that there was more to this than meets the eye. Wrestling fans are not stupid. They kind of know when things are kind of real and when things ain't, you know. And eventually, for the sake of safety, which was the right thing to do, you know, Sting squashed Jeff Hardy.
Yep.
You know,
he hooked him for real. He hooked him for real.
And hooked him for real. And then when the fans were going, "This sucks," or this sucks, or whatever, and he goes, "Yes, I know."
I agree. I agree.
Like, the professional annoyance coming out of him. Like, here's a guy who bleeds the business and is a legend in the business and only wants to be known for good things. I've always looked at Sting as a very likable guy in the business from what I've heard about him. You know, people do appreciate Sting, and he's not one of these like up his own ass sort of guys in the main event scene. So you can understand him being very frustrated with what was happening here. I mean, him and Jeff Hardy should have been a dream match.
Oh yeah,
you know, it should have been a fucking dream main event. You know, I mean, old school, new school. Like there were elements of Jeff Hardy in primetime Sting in his prime. It should have been a great match. You know, the old master versus the young student. You know, it just fucking Jeff Hardy blew it.
And then instead of them reimbursing all the fans, they were like, okay, well, what we're going to do is give you 6 months of like the TNA network or free access on the TNA website or whatever the fuck. I'm like, I don't know how much pay-per-views were back then, maybe $40-$50. I'm like, yeah, thank God I didn't pay for it. That's all I got to say. Because I just saw the disaster on YouTube, and I'm like, that was, you could argue, the beginning of the end for TNA if it wasn't Hogan and Bischoff. I'm like, Sting versus Hardy could be considered the beginning of the end. But ultimately, when I knew they were done was 2013 when they let AJ Styles, 2013-14 when AJ Styles left to go to New Japan. That was it.
Yeah, how do you not renew his contract? You know, like, it was unbelievable. Like, this is like your main guy. You know, he is the past, present, and future of your company, and you just. But they embarrassing themselves is what TNA does best. I mean, they've, you know, you got Dixie Carter famously holding onto Hulk Hogan's leg when he was leaving.
That's the image of Dark Side of the Ring. If they ever do that, that needs to be the final thing we see in that episode.
Yeah, and sorry, my bird, she's being naughty.
It's all good.
You know, the funny thing with Dark Side of the Ring, they don't really delve into TNA that much, do they?
No.
When it comes to archive footage and stuff, I've noticed how they rarely use anything from TNA or like look into TNA at all. It's always WWE, WCW, and other companies. But yeah, TNA definitely deserves its spot, whether it be certain sections of it, you know, or the whole fucking business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I mean, would you put most of this blame down to Dixie Carter and her overly ambitious ways, which kind of led to the downfall?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I would say
to another.
Yeah, I would say Dixie Carter not knowing what the hell she was doing definitely led to the end of it. Hogan was getting paid, I think, $35,000 every time he appeared, which further bled them fucking dry because they had him on TV every week, even if it was just for 30 seconds. He was still getting paid like 30-something thousand. I'm like, you don't have that kind of money. And then leading to ultimately where I fell off. The last good thing that I saw on TNA was the Broken Hardy thing. That was genius. That was some of the coolest shit I ever saw.
It got eyes back on TNA very briefly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Brother Nero. You know, like it kind of changed Jeff to a degree, because I've always thought Jeff Hardy needed some alterations to his persona. And being Brother Nero was about as close as he got to it. But Broken Matt Hardy was genius.
Yeah, and they fucked all that up too because Dixie couldn't hold on to him. And then the shit with Billy Corgan, this is where I kind of really fell off and stopped was, I think 2015, 2016 was Billy Corgan was brought in as the president, and then he and Dixie got into it because they couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with TNA. He wanted to buy TNA. She wasn't having it. And then I think she ended up leaving TNA and only staying on as a board member of the company. And now they're to where they're Impact, and Tommy Dreamer, I know, is there, and Don Callis is there. But other than that, not much is known about it.
RVD's there, isn't he?
Yep.
Is he as a wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
He must be like in his 50s now.
Yeah, he's got to be.
You know, wow. Like, yeah, but I remember once I just came across TNA and I thought to myself, they got a pay-per-view? I mean, like, first of all, I had no idea that TNA is still running. I was shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they went under. And then I find out that they're like promoting a pay-per-view. I mean, how many people are going to be buying that? About 10,000 people if they're lucky.
If,
you know what I mean? You know,
because I remember back
viewing it.
I remember back in the day, you could pirate a TNA pay-per-view. You could pirate stream it. We've all done that. I did it.
Yeah.
And the reason why you could pirate TNA is because no one monitors it. It's not that monitored. It's not like how WWE was, where if you were lucky enough to get away with doing that with WWE, you could. But with TNA, it was easy as hell. You'd go in, you type in the search engine, and then you could watch it.
And sometimes a company like TNA would probably be happy that people are watching their product, even if it's a pay-per-view for free, because it means they're getting eyes on the company. So probably that's why they didn't want to monitor it too much.
Yeah,
you know, get eyes on our company and so on. But it's amazing. Like all these people who came in, they were like a cancer, you know, to TNA. You know, there was something which was really great, really organic, fresh, new wrestlers, you know, and wrestlers who were in the WWE who never got their due, getting their due in TNA.
And not to mention, I know we're missing some shit, but like the women's division, you know, that was fucking spectacular with like Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and all these bad bitches that could just
the Beautiful People was such a great faction. Yeah, it was a great tag team.
ODB, you know, really, I mean,
yeah, ODB was fantastic.
Holy shit! How do you fuck that up?
Yeah, like a really respected women's division. You know, with really good female wrestlers who, and you know, like it was ghost. I'm ghost-back when I think about all of this. But knowing that this company was so good, and then you had people who came in who were established guys, but tried to keep their fire alight by stamping all over TNA. And once they used and abused TNA, they left it like a fucking rat, you know, leaving a sinking ship. And then TNA just became a husk, you know, and no one gives a fuck about it anymore. I think they brought back the Six Sides for a while, didn't they? Yeah,
they tried to. They tried to resurrect Impact Wrestling. I think this is when Kurt Angle might have been the GM before he left to go back to WWE. That's another one. How the fuck do you let Kurt Angle go? I mean, yeah, his career was winding down, but from an agent perspective, Kurt Angle is one of those dudes I would have kept just because he's so good at breaking down matches.
I just don't know, to tell you the truth. I mean, there could be several, non-legitimate reasons, reasons that don't really hold enough water to lose someone like Kurt Angle. But yeah, it's hard to say. But they brought back the Six Sides just to get rid of it again, which was fucking stupid, you know. And when I did see the Six Sides come back, it didn't make me think to myself, yeah, I'm going to start watching it again. I thought, you guys knew you had something good and you fucking blew it. And that's why you're bringing it back. And doesn't mean I'm coming back, you know. And it was like with the funny thing is as well, like, you know, as somebody who stopped watching wrestling the way I do, I'm more of a voyeur now. I like to, you know, I'm more like to keep, you know, the real stuff in wrestling is more fascinating than what they do in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
you hear all these people getting fired and shit.
That's something we could touch on. That's something we could touch on now because Hurricane Helms was on Twitter recently, and he was all like, people need to not focus on the backstage stuff. And I'm like, well, Hurricane, here's an idea. Make better shows. And then people wouldn't care about the inner workings of the business. You ever think of that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if, I don't know, call me crazy. Maybe if Raw and SmackDown actually had compelling TV we could watch every week, then we wouldn't care about the inner workings.
Sometimes they make these feuds so over the top that you think to yourself, I just can't believe this. I remember, like, you know, for WWE, for example, between Randy Orton and Triple H for WrestleMania. How the fuck are those guys fighting at WrestleMania, for fuck's sake? It's ridiculous. But nevertheless, you got like Randy Orton breaking into Triple H's home, or the other way around. I can't remember.
Triple H broke into Randy Orton's home.
Like, this is so stupid.
And then what they did is they fucked it up by saying, okay, Triple H, if you get disqualified, you lose the title. What? He broke into the man's home. This needs to be a no DQ match. Randy Orton and Triple H need to beat the fuck out of each other. That's the way you do it.
And then you got like Triple H being handcuffed and him wailing on Stephanie, you know, or whatever, or RK going Stephanie and stuff like that.
And then he kissed her, and then Triple H got all pissed off, and and then they had Triple H beat Randy Orton anyway. It was so stupid. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
The point is that just have a good match. You know what I mean? You don't need all this fucking pageantry. Yeah, it's over the top. You know, you could just have a good fucking match. You know, have a bit of back and forth, the odd run in here and there, but you're making it so ridiculous that, you know, I just can't buy into this. You know, I really can't. You know, the kayfabe era is dead. Stop treating us like fucking Stop treating us like fucking idiots. Just give us good choreographed matches. You know, and a little bit of beef between the two, clever dialogue here and there. Make it feel like MMA in that sense.
And people people ask, it's like, because I see people all the time, they're like, do you think wrestling can come back? No, it can't. I don't think you'll see a resurgence of the business anytime soon. That's just my take. I think it's going to have a niche audience. Vince and Tony Khan will have their moments here and there, but as far as making it a priority every week, nah. Here in the States, I could tell you 100% for sure, you will not have a combined 10 million people watching USA-wise. Maybe worldwide you might, if you're lucky, but I don't think wrestling will ever come back.
Yeah, not in the way it once was. And once again, you could blame people like Vince McMahon for that, for not evolving the product and maybe not even like stepping down. Because he's too egotistical to do so, you know, and with no evolution in the brand, like wrestling became very stale. Yeah, you know. Now we do have AEW. Like, I've always looked at it like this: like when it came to, you know, people going up against the WWE, we had WCW, which was probably arguably its biggest rival.
Yes,
you know, because they surpassed the WWE, but then they ended up becoming too bloated, you know, too big-headed, and Vince McMahon was able to strike and buy the company. You had TNA, which just didn't know its place. Should have realized, should have been the wrestling fans' wrestling show instead of fucking WWE Light, and ended up fucking doing the same mistakes as WCW, getting all these fucking has-beens as well in there, making it a company based around Hulk Hogan. And ended up losing all the elements about it, ended up being lost. You know, all the great wrestlers within the company ended up getting fucking buried. They're gone. Now we've got AEW. I never want to see Hulk Hogan in that fucking company for a start.
He's banned. Thank God. He's banned him. Yeah. He's banned. Yep.
The guy's a fucking kiss of death, man. He's only good for WWE. You know, that's his place, you know. And even then, when you look at Hulk Hogan now, you think, Jesus Christ, man.
Here's the thing. Here's a question for you, though. Okay, so Eric Bischoff, here's the irony. Eric Bischoff recently told Tony Khan, shut up and wrestle. Don't focus on what WWE is doing. I find that actually pretty fucking hilarious, considering this is the guy that, like, took it to the WWE and beat their ass for about 2 years, and he's telling Tony, shut up and wrestle. I
It looks
find
like
so much hilarity in that.
Eric Bischoff wants to find. He wants to still be recognized, still be still be relevant. That was the word I was looking for, and that's why he probably did that. And I'm liking. I've only seen bits and pieces of AEW. They're not perfect. They've got elements of TNA about it. They've got elements of WCW about it, and they've got elements of WWE about it. I think it's still trying to find its feet. But I just don't want them to do the same mistakes the other companies did by just trying to be number one when just being good will make you number one. You don't, what I mean? Like, and I don't, when every time you hear about a wrestler leaving WWE, you think immediately AEW. That shouldn't necessarily be the case either.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I've even said this. AEW is going to have to start releasing people because their roster is overbloated right now. They've got a lot of guys, and you don't need to sign everybody, and you shouldn't. Some guys are destined to. Some guys are destined to be WWE guys. Some guys are destined to be Indies guys. Some guys don't even fit in the business. Is my view. There's some guys that you may think that may be like, okay, yeah, this guy could go really well here. This guy could do really well here. Or this guy, why is he even here? And for AEW, I think their goal should be right now for the short term. How can we get up to 2 million viewers by this time next year? That should be their goal. Our goal should be how can we increase our fan base? Because the fact is, you're not going to beat Vince McMahon. It's not going to happen. Nobody's ever going to take the fight to Vince. I don't think you'll ever see a Monday Night War again. That's my view.
Well, they need like more moments like what they had when CM Punk came back and Daniel Bryan joined them, and like real like pop moments. Certain unique matches as well, their own version of WrestleMania, but like they just need the history behind them, just to create it. But their fans are going to also be more niche as well. Just to go back to TNA regarding the fall side of it now, like after like it's just become this husk, as I said. Now, people have used and abused it. It's now just a shit show, literally. And it can't even find like a place on television.
Nope.
Like, nobody
they got relegated to Twitch.
Really?
They got relegated to Twitch.
Is that where they are now?
I
remember catching it once on TV or YouTube, and I remember Christopher Daniels coming back very briefly on it, and I thought, wow, this was pretty cool. But then I see the arena TNA's in, and I thought, fuck me, man, this looks smaller than the developmental sort of ring area they had during COVID for the WWE. And hello, my darling. And it was so sad seeing it in that, after not seeing it for years, seeing it in that particular stage in its career, But at least I got to see one more, world's greatest moonsault or best moonsault ever by Christopher. But honestly, his moonsault was a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
it really is. It's good to see that again. But just to see it at that stage now, like a homeless man on the street, somebody who once was rich and then had it all, and like a has-been boxer or something along those lines. It's heartbreaking knowing that it could have been amazing.
Yeah, kind of sounds similar to Ring of Honor right now with what they're going through.
But we could have had maybe AEW could have come in, and then we could have had 3 different shows. We had WWE, TNA, AEW, all different styles of wrestling. But because wrestling's been monopolized now, it's never had the chance to be different. Like when I told you, when I saw my favorite pay-per-view of all time is ECW One Night Stand, the first one, because I saw innovative wrestling. I thought I saw wrestling I was not used to seeing. Yeah, because Vince would never allow this type of wrestling on his show usually, and he was doing it as a one night stand, a one night only, and it was amazing seeing that style of wrestling again. Or for the first time, as far as I'm concerned. So there is differences out there. What I mean? There are alternatives out there, but we're just never going to get that because of people's lack of ambition and their greed and wanting to be the number one. It's fucking annoying.
I think AEW, I think they could do it, but I think what's going to happen it's going to be a niche audience. That's what I believe. I think wrestling is going to. TNA was the best. No. Oh shit. Yeah, dude. No.
What the hell's wrong with you, Bird?
Bird is passing out. Like, okay, yeah. Look what I can do. TNA
flew under my table and then she flew back. Oh, anyway, go on.
TNA was the best after January 2010. Sir, are you on crack?
Yeah, you can tell Cheetah's trolling us right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, with that thumbs up picture of himself. Yeah, he's proper trolling us. You know.
Yeah.
It will never be the same again. You know, like it had its chance. It blew it, and nobody wants to know now, which is why everyone's putting all their eggs in the AEW basket. All the proper wrestling fans, but young people don't watch wrestling anymore.
No, MMA is the thing now.
MMA is more like how WWE used to be, or wrestling used to be, without all these stupid feuds and stuff like that. You'll have stare downs and press meetings and stuff like that, which is what WWE should try to be a little bit more of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I say
all these stupid feuds.
Yeah, because I say what you got to do is you can have comedy in wrestling, but cut the comedy out just a tad bit and make it a more serious product. And instead of scripted promos, like say what you feel, be like, okay, Drew McIntyre and Big E, like you say you're the best. No, I'm the best, motherfucker. We're going to fight it out. Simple as that.
Big D, he called himself, didn't he? I'm Big D. Apparently people are saying it's unscripted.
You hate MMA, Cheeto? Yeah. It's not for everybody.
I started to get into MMA when I started seeing WWE guys going in there. You know, when Brock Lesnar joined, I was curious. Bobby Lashley was in there. Even Batista had a match. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe Batista. Like he beat that guy, but he struggled against that fat fucker, man.
Yep.
He fought a really fat fucker. Batista did. He was lucky that he probably had more stamina than him.
Jack Swagger is in MMA. He's undefeated. He's undefeated.
Really good.
Damn.
And you know what? The funny thing is Jake Hager. Mm-hmm. I like Jake Hager more than Jack Swagger.
I do
Jake
too.
Hager. By the way, the Jack Swagger character, fucking brilliant. Yeah, honestly, fucking brilliant. Like Kurt Angle 2.0, and they blew it with him. You know, the guy can move, man. The guy can wrestle. I had no problem with him getting the belt. I love the way how he won the belt. Like no massive celebration. He just stood up and just held it. Like I love that. I still remember that. You know what I mean? You know, all of that. He was perfect, and then W just buried him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like I don't know what was wrong about him. I never grasped what they disliked about him to start burying him, but they did. But Jake Hager, I watched an interview with him when he was in MMA, and yeah, I like the guy. I like the guy a lot. I got time for him, but WWE they never have time for decent talent.
No, they don't care.
John Cena over, or in this case now it's Roman Reigns, who's like the new Triple H of the company. You know what I mean? And new like top heel and stuff like that. So, but yeah, wrestling is come and gone.
Yeah,
you know, it is dying a slow death for sure.
Yeah, because I hate to be that guy that's Mr. Negative, but I'm like I think it's just going to have its ups and downs. That's the state of the business now. Like if CM Punk and Danielson and Adam Cole couldn't get AEW up to 2 million viewers, I don't know what the hell will. I can't tell you.
Look, with CM Punk, he was out for a long time, and he came back. And that gave it its initial jolt, but like there's nobody in wrestling now, not even John Cena. You know what I mean? John Cena is a movie star now. You know what I mean? Like not even John Cena. Like there is nobody in wrestling. There's a weird noise coming. Anyway, what's his name? Roman Reigns. He's supposed to be the new top guy. I think it's coming from your side.
Maybe I don't know. Probably my headset.
Okay, like Roman Reigns is supposed to be the new top guy. No one gives a fuck.
No,
I think as long as because WWE is the big, big honcho, the big who I am of wrestling. Because of the way they operated as a company, it just makes people not have a taste for wrestling. Regardless who's running the show, whether it be TNA or AEW, we just can't be bothered anymore. You know
No.
what I mean? When you see people who are pushed that you don't want to be pushed, and when people who you want to be pushed are not pushed. I mean, Dolph Ziggler's been there forever. He's never been given a decent run.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They gave him the world title that one time like 8 years ago and hadn't done shit since. He's done
And the
nothing.
he's talented,
Mm-hmm.
extremely talented. You got someone like Kofi Kingston, you give him the belt once and that was it.
Yep.
You know, like people like Bobby Lashley, he was good on his first stint in the WWE, but no one really gave a fuck about him on his second stint. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, like bringing back Goldberg all the time. It's like, come on, like WWE, like Damien Sandow, the guy's talented beyond belief. The fans love him, don't use him. Zack Ryder, fans love him, don't use him. Bury them. How dare you fans like these fuckers? We will teach you not to like these fuckers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But all you did was teach me not to like you, WWE.
Yo boy over there in the UK, Wade Barrett, when he became Bad News Barrett, I thought that was some of the coolest shit ever. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. And he got over, and then look what happened to him. They buried him. That's another one they don't allow to get over.
And you can see how desperate they were to bury Daniel Bryan. And the fans would constantly make it, and obviously what they've done with CM Punk as well was a disgrace.
Yep.
He losing to Triple H like that was ridiculous, man. You know what I mean?
How are you going to go into semi-retirement, come back out of semi-retirement, beat CM Punk, and then immediately go right back into retirement? Make that make sense.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the WWE for you. They hated giving the fans what they truly wanted. Well, that's good. I eat an entire meal too, mate. I'm sure we all do now and again. Yeah. But they hate giving the fans what they wanted. They wanted to give us what they wanted, and all they ended up doing was all they did was turn us away. I've turned away. I can't believe it. Look, Cousin Cheeto and myself, we were two massive wrestling fans. We did shows. We did wrestling shows. We were in a part of the Wrestling Revolution with yourself.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as y'all, where it's like, I think, the longest one that hung on. And then for me, when Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker, I was like, all right, that's it. It's over. I'm done. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, well, I thought The Undertaker should have retired a long time ago anyway.
Yep.
Like, I felt they were always flogging a dead horse with The Undertaker. And he's the only one who, I think with Vince as well, is like, he loves his gimmicks. Even though I don't think gimmicks work as well as they used to. So, but Undertaker's gimmick still works because he's a product of yesteryear. He's part of that 80s era of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Vince wants. But Vince doesn't realize that you can't do that anymore.
And people, and the latest thing people are talking about, just to stay current, people are talking about Undertaker coming out for WrestleMania 38. I'm like, okay, here's what you do with Undertaker since it's in Texas. You do the Hall of Fame there, and you do two entrances. Night one, American Badass. Then night two, he comes out as the Phenom, and then after that, done. I'm down for the entrances, and that's it. I don't want Taker ever wrestling again. Taker is nothing more than an entrance at this point.
No. I really think they shouldn't. Yeah, because for a start, Taker's going to win whoever he buries.
No. I'm not saying have a match. I'm saying just do the entrance. Just one time, like how Stone Cold did when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. He came out on that ATV, did the entrance, and left. Got the fuck out. You could do the same thing with The Undertaker.
Yeah. As long as he's not wrestling, because honestly,
I don't want Taker in the ring again. Let me just make that clear.
Yeah, it's the same way I don't want Stone Cold in the ring. I don't even want The Rock back in the ring.
I don't either.
When The Rock came back, I was very happy. But boy, you realize that you shouldn't wish for what you want, because you might just get it, and then you get it and you realize, my God, Rock is awful. He's fucking awful. He's missed a step. The guy couldn't even do that backflip shit anymore.
Mm-mm.
He was so bad. His matches with John Cena were fucking awful. Shark Boy is the GOAT. Yeah, you know what? I love Shark Boy.
Shark Boy was great.
Shark Boy was awesome.
Give me a shell, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, I loved it. People love copying fucking Stone Cold. Jay Lethal loved copying fucking Macho Man.
Yep.
You
Black
know,
machismo. Yeah.
yeah. Did he do anybody else? Jay Lethal.
No, I think that was
No,
it.
but he did Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, he did Ric Flair too. That was okay. Yeah, speaking of
Amazing.
the good moments of TNA, yeah, the Flair Jay Lethal promo. If you haven't seen it, go watch that shit. That
I
was
think
some
Ric
good
Flair.
stuff.
You could tell, but Ric Flair was so impressed
Yep.
that he was able to like sound like him. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? When you can sound like him, you know what I mean? But yes, this just shows you how talented people like Jay Lethal are. But even then, they don't get shot to the moon. You know, they just get used to probably promote everybody else because
Yep.
they're that talented. You know, so. But yeah, TNA, where is it now? Like, what? How many views does it get now? I mean, what?
Last I checked, I think like 500 something. I don't even think it's like 500.
100,000.
I don't
I
think
heard it
it's
was like
even that.
60,000.
Yeah, I don't even think it's. I think it's like 50,000. I'm like they don't even get a fraction of what they used to get. It's
Well,
sad, man.
500,000 is pretty good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? For a shit show like TNA, considering there's so much stuff to watch nowadays, and people don't even watch television anymore. Everyone's watching
No.
streaming services.
And the thing is, I
Yeah,
was going to say too, that's another reason why wrestling will never come back. It's not just because wrestling is down, it's because live TV fucking sucks. It's like other than news and sometimes sports,
yeah,
why have live TV?
I agree. I only ever watch live TV for football,
Mm-hmm.
soccer.
Yep.
Like there is no like need for it now. I can catch news articles on YouTube whenever I want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I don't need live TV anything other than sports. Sorry, I got you. But there's just no place for it in today's world.
No.
It's a shame, but that's the reality of it. Yeah, you can
Mm-hmm.
watch whatever you want whenever you want.
On
So why
demand.
do you need on demand? So why the hell do you need why the hell do you need live TV? There is another comment by Cheeto. I started watching TNA when Christian went there.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
were actually lyrical about that earlier. Christian was, he was the GOAT when he was there. And even watching him in AEW, he's still got it, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got it. I don't know how. I mean, like the guy's like what 47.
Yeah,
He's not young.
you could see that he's aged, but he moves like he's like 32.
Yeah, he's still got the same sort of physique as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, but we'll see how long he can keep it going for. Like when I see Sting there in AEW, I think, come on, man, you're in your 60s now.
Mm-hmm.
Give that makeup a break. Like just be Sting, wear a suit, whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm a little worried about staying in AEW. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I worry the man might break a hip or something. Legit, because it's like, dude, you're 62 now. I think you're not that young anymore, bro. Yeah.
Look, personally, I would like him to do what Undertaker did and go back to his old surfer gimmick. Like Undertaker went from Badass, went back to the Dead Man. I would like Sting to drop the Crow gimmick and be Surfer Sting again.
Yeah.
Be that loud personality, woo, and all that sort. But he did wooing as well, didn't he?
Yep.
You know what I mean? But he went like this, woo, like that, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I want that Sting back.
I saw one picture yesterday that really pissed me off. It was a picture of Surfer Sting wearing the Winged Eagle belt. I'm like, there is just so much wrong with that picture.
I need to see that again. Actually, it's been such a long fucking time. I can't envision it. Yep. One more thing, by the way, from fucking Cousin Cheeto. He says, Cousin Cheeto, like Taker, Sting needs to be done.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And he's older than Taker, man. Like Taker's not in his 60s yet. He's close to it, but Sting is in his 60s. When you see wrestlers this old doing bumps and stuff, I don't care if they can still go, man. Like it worries you. Even watching Taker worries me. Ever since, I remember when he did that flying over the top rope.
He tombstoned himself, yeah. He basically gave himself a pile driver.
And the cameraman was supposed to break his fall, but that never really happened.
Yep.
Like these guys shouldn't be doing this sort of stuff anymore. I give him credit. Like even like when he fought what do you call it? I'm about to say Goldberg. Yeah. Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. Like Goldberg botched the fucking jackhammer slam.
Almost dropped him on his head.
I think Taker's used to it, used to botches.
Yep.
So like you saw the fucking botch between him and Roman Reigns. WrestleMania and stuff like that. Like they're trying to reverse the tombstone.
Yep. And he
And it
couldn't
ends up
even pick
becoming a
him
small
up.
package.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
One more sit.
Sting does
There you
need to
go.
be done though. I agree. Okay. BTW.
By the way, I agree, Zam. All the oldies 50 plus need to be done in the ring. Yeah,
hey, you're not going to get any argument here, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that people say, well, if they're part timers, then it's better for them. No, it's not, because they're not used to taking the bumps on a regular basis, which means that it hurts even more. So
the only one that I could probably see getting away with it is probably Brock Lesnar, because that dude, I don't know what it is about Brock, but that motherfucker's like superhuman. Like, he is crazy strong.
No, but age will always catch up. You eventually. Look at Goldberg. You know what I mean? Like, he's not he was no different to Brock. He was older than Brock Lesnar, but they were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar will end up being like Goldberg at some particular point in his career. But the thing with Brock Lesnar over Goldberg is that Brock Lesnar can wrestle.
Oh yeah.
He's got stamina on him as well.
Yeah, he's got that conditioning.
Yeah, and people say that Brock doesn't sell. Brock sells, man.
Go watch Brock versus Rey Mysterio, one of the most underrated matches of all time. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, I'm a big Rey Mysterio fan. I think nearly everything he touches, it turns to gold anyway, because he's so fast paced and he gives good David and Goliath contests and stuff like that. I hate that the WWE always called him the ultimate underdog and stuff like that. Fuck you, man. The guy won a Royal Rumble, WWE champion, World Heavyweight champion. Stop calling him an underdog. You know what I mean? It just drives me nuts. It's an insult, man. But anyway, I think we're done here, Jose.
Yeah, I think this is it. I know there's a lot that we might have missed, and Shredder can join us if we ever decide to revisit this topic. Because I know people will want to revisit it, but we could always do a sequel.
For sure. Like wrestling, I mean, in general, it's not just the rise and fall of TNA, it's rise and fall of wrestling. WWE's like once we're in the 5-6 millions. Now they're what, like under 2 million now?
Yep.
Under 2 million now. Like that's just diehards.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that way where you guys are, but here in the States, that's how it is.
Yeah, considering you got 350 million people in your country and you're getting less than 2 million people fucking watching the product, that's not good.
No.
What's AEW on?
They 913,000 is what they got for this past week.
So not even 1 million.
Not even 1 million.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and that's just only in America, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're probably trying to because wrestling is like a global brand now. You know what I mean? Also, like another thing, WWE, stop with the patriotism shit. You are the World Wrestling fucking Federation, not the United States Wrestling Federation. Try not to. But Vince McMahon can't help himself sometimes with all that bollocks.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It drives me fucking nuts with the foreign bad guys. Anyone who's not American, fucking bad guy. Fucking shit like that drives me nuts. But anyway, I think I'm going to get off my soapbox regarding that. But nevertheless, thank you very much for everyone who's joined us for this debate between myself and Jose. This chat, I wouldn't even say debate.
Yeah, because we pretty much just had a conversation because there really wasn't nothing to debate because we both had similar points.
Exactly. It was nice to talk about this product again, but TNA is done.
They fucked up.
They'll never come back. They'll never be what it once was. And because wrestling is dying a very slow death, there's no resurrection for TNA. It has fallen and it can't get back up.
And you could say the same thing for WWE as well. They're on that same
WWE
boat.
And AEW in a way, like it's good to see.
It's good to see what they're doing, but they won't reach 1997 to 2001 numbers. There's no fucking way.
They joined this game way too late in the stage of what wrestling is. Everybody knows what wrestling is. There was a time when people genuinely believed it was real. Now everybody knows what it is. And because of that, people don't appreciate it for what it once was, because it was about fooling people. Nowadays, I think they got to remarket it, rebrand it more like in the fight choreography sense. Like when you watch a movie, you're not watching real stuff, but you can appreciate what you're watching. When you go to the theater, you know you're watching a couple of guys acting on stage, and wrestling is a combination of both of those things: an action movie and stage theater. And I think WWE needs to, or wrestling in general, needs to try and redevelop itself and not try to fool people or make people believe what they're watching is real. You know, like, I know it sounds weird, but it needs a total overhaul in what wrestling is now. Like, we know it's fucking, I hate to say the word that, we know it's fucking fake. So let's just treat people like they're fucking, like they're human beings, not fucking idiots, and not try to insult their intelligence. And I think that's the best way I can explain regarding taking wrestling in a new direction and get rid of this face and heel shit. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, stop that shit.
Yeah, stop that shit. All right, then, Jose, thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, and thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. We will definitely have more. We cover comic books, movies, wrestling, video games, Star Wars, Star Trek, all that nerdy shit. That's why we're called NerdTube, the greatest fucking YouTube channel that you've never heard of. Thank you guys once again for watching. Like and subscribe. I am DOZ. This is Zam.
See ya.
Peace.